Today, we'll look at the 4 letters that will transform your career and might even help your marriage. R, A, C, I. Just in case if we have anybody watching from Australia, that acronym RACI doesn't stand for Royal Australian Chemical Institute. And for my colleagues in the healthcare industry, it doesn't stand for Risk Adjusted Complication Index either. Those acronyms make up 4 words, which are responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed. Before we look at these 4 letters in more detail, let's talk a little bit about how projects in general or project groups perform, potentially even at your own company. Did you know that almost 1 out of 2 project groups don't actually meet expectations once complete? This is according to the Project Management Institute. With so many projects not meeting expectations, you might be wondering why. According to the American Management Association, lack of clear roles and responsibilities is one of the top reasons projects and groups fail. Today, we'll talk about those 4 letters which can help specifically with that. By assigning these 4 letters in a RACI matrix, you can ensure your resources have a clear understanding of what they're expected to do and how they need to engage with others in your team or organization. Let's have a closer look. The letter R stands for responsible and is assigned to the individual who will actually be doing the task. This is the person keying in the data or painting the wall. A stands for accountable and is assigned to the person whose head would roll if this task goes wrong. This is the person that creates the accountability. C stands for consulted and is assigned to the individual who needs to be consulted when a task is being done. This is a two-way communication. I stands for informed and is assigned to the individual which needs to be kept informed when the task is being done. This is a one-way communication, just like an FYI. Now that we looked at these 4 letters and what they stand for, let's spend some time and look at how to build a RACI chart in these 2 steps, simple steps. First, start with a grid. Enter your tasks vertically here, and the names of the individuals go on the top, horizontally. You should end up with something that looks like this. Step 2, simply assign those letters that we talked about as appropriate on the grid. Let's do one together, and I'm confident it'll make a little bit more sense. Let's start with a simple example of preparing dinner for a family of 4. We write down the tasks on the grid, and then the individuals on the top. In this case, the first step is choosing a recipe, and that's mom's responsibility. She's also accountable for doing this task, and she consults the dad, son, and daughter while doing so. Dad is responsible for going out and completing the shopping, and informs mom once it's done. The son washes the vegetables with mom's oversight, and the daughter actually prepares the ingredients. And finally, dad prepares the dish and informs the family once it's done. The RACI methodology can be used in a variety of ways, from a family of 4 to a business with 500,000 employees. Next, let's look at a work example that looks at a process of pricing new products. Same idea, start with a grid, write your tasks, followed by your individuals on the top. The first task in this example is to run a report, which Tom is responsible for and Jay ensures that it gets done. The next few steps will assign those letters again according to those tasks, and finally, the last step is to check the report for pricing, which is Robert's responsibility, and he informs the rest of the group once done. Here's just another example of a software regression testing, which is a little bit more complex as it gets wider and taller, but it's the same concept in Excel. It's important that once you build your RACI chart, you share it and you start reviewing it against best practices. First, you can't have more than 1 A per task. You can't have 2 drivers in 1 car. You need to ensure that you can't have more than 1 R per task. As they say, too many cooks spoil the broth. No R's, and it probably means that your task won't get done for that task. Too many C's, and you might have analysis by paralysis where the team has to consult too many people before getting it done. And not enough C's and I's might just mean that your team isn't communicating enough. Lastly, ensure that you supplement your RACI chart with other process documents like a process map or a standard operating procedure, as the RACI chart doesn't explain how to perform those tasks. It's one of the shortcomings of the model. To conclude, today we talked about those 4 magical words and how it could transform your career and ensure your teams have clear roles and responsibilities and meets expectations. Use the RACI chart next time your group has a task to complete with multiple people involved in various handoffs. Check your RACI chart against the best practices we talked about and supplement your chart with other process documents. And finally, make your RACI chart public. At this point, some of you might be wondering how any of this could ever help a marriage, and I'll end with sharing how it helped mine. As you know, in a family, even the smallest task like cooking dinner could become a challenge. And to address that, this is how our family fridge looks. And amongst the multiple photos and fridge magnets we've acquired, we actually do have RACI charts that ensures our family stays happy and as effective as possible, just like RACI helps that work. Thank you.